On this episode, we discuss Sting being in WWE 2K15, the WWE Network promotion overload, Eva Marie, Battleground predictions, and more on this edition of Byte That. Welcome everyone to episode 47 of Byte That, the semi-somewhat maybe international professional wrestling podcast where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is the world of professional wrestling. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and joining me as always is one of my groomsmen for my wedding. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Boston, Massachusetts. We got Ryan McNulty.
What is going on, Juan? You know, this may be the last two-man show for quite a while. I have it on good authority that Keith could possibly be back next week.
Oh snap, some people are going to be happy and that one guy is just sitting there crying right now. But for those that are really happy with us, we do want to take a little quick moment and thank you for tuning in, for listening to the show. Remember, the podcast is now up, no, not Thursdays, ladies and gentlemen, but every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, and our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ByteThatCast. And if you like the fact that the podcast is up a couple of days earlier, just let us know by hitting us up with a tweet. Now, as we go directly into Monday Night Raw, which, by the way, is apparently the go-home show to Battleground, which I will get a little bit into, is the fact that it seems a little too sudden for us, at least for me it did. But one of the things that came up immediately after one of his segments was that Mr. Money in the Bank himself, Seth Rollins, was apparently injured. Could you give me a little bit of information on that?
I don't know if it was a move in the ring or the way he fell out of the ring, but either way, he was clutching his knee when he was tossed out of the ring. You immediately saw the ref throw up the X symbol for an injured wrestler, and doctors went over to him, and then they proceeded to keep him off camera the rest of the show. Now, I just read a report saying that he may not actually be injured, but it's really like you kind of got signs from both sides because the ending to Raw seemed very awkward. It seemed like they kind of had to had to improvise sort of this ending. And Dean Ambrose never came out again, which you might have expected would happen. So it came off as really awkward, like they had to come up with something on the fly because he got hurt. So I really don't know what to believe here.
Yeah, and it was an interesting thing because earlier in the night, Dean Ambrose had this awesome backstage segment, but we were both thinking, okay, so obviously he's going to come back, they're going to play off the whole, like, oh, he shouldn't wrestle, and just sell that, but then he didn't show up, and then, do you think it's maybe a situation of where he may have gotten injured, it wasn't just too severe, but now they're trying to actually use it for the benefit of his character?
Do you mean Rollins or Ambrose in this situation?
Rollins.
I'm not sure. I mean, so that report also went on to say that they might hold off on Ambrose versus Rollins at Battleground and make it a bigger deal for SummerSlam. But at the same time, I mean, it's got to be a little disappointing to have them advertise that match and then it doesn't actually happen.
I actually do hope they figure out a way to sort of stall that match because it seems like it's happening way too sudden. I actually saw that to be like a SummerSlam type match. I mean, considering all the history these two guys have, and then just to throw it on Battlegrounds, which, once again, at least to me, the pay-per-view feels very sudden after we just got off another one. Are you happy in many ways that this may be a possibility?
I sort of agree. I kind of feel like there is a benefit to having it be held off till SummerSlam because I think people are really into this feud, and their SummerSlam rematch, if they had it, just wouldn't feel as important. You can make SummerSlam that much better. I mean, they should even do something which I haven't seen in a long time, one of those contracts where they're not allowed to, touch each other or something like that, because then you just intensify the feud and make the match, that much more important, or make contact. I should say you're not allowed to make.
Why are you laughing?
Because
so funny?
You're laughing because I said touch each other. Maturity level 0 on this podcast.
We had another superstar, or diva, if you will, really show up on Raw and just give an outstanding performance. This diva has caused a lot of controversy, I guess, in social media. I am talking about Eva Marie. Total Divas fame. she had a match against the current Divas champion, AJ Lee. And at one point, I thought she was going to go for like an RKO, snapmare, something. What was that all about?
Well, we got just another amazing performance from Eva Marie. I don't know, what is it about this woman that attracts so much attention and hatred? Because she is our most viewed video on our YouTube channel. So there is something about her that people do care about, whether it's liking her or hating her. But either way, I just think it's not even necessarily her fault. We talked about this before, where, WWE is they're damaging their product by putting people out there who aren't necessarily ready. If you want to have her on TV, have her on TV, but don't damage the credibility of your show by putting someone in a match who clearly isn't ready.
No, and she does still seem dangerous in the ring. She's been in the WWE for a long time. You could even make the comparison to Cameron. Cameron started with the whole infamous Alicia Fox and Melina thing, and guess who's her tag team partner now, huh? And now with that whole situation, Cameron, even though she's still got some things to work out, she's definitely improved in the ring. She seems more comfortable, whereas with Eva Marie, it feels like she's still the same person. Even when she ran the ropes, it felt like they had to actually cut away to Paige a couple of times because of how awkward the match looked. It just seems dangerous to really just have her in the ring.
And the thing is, I know she's been in the company for, for over a year, maybe a year and a half?
Yeah, it has to be over a year, yeah.
If there's one thing that Total Divas actually shed some light on, is they actually have her, going around, doing whatever, doing media or any type of signings or things like that, as well as showing up to tapings. They kind of shed light that she actually gets very, very little time to actually do wrestling training, where, she probably should be down in developmental, she should be down there 99% of the time, but because of the success of the show, they have her going around all these places, so it slows down her ability to be able to work, matches and actually be decent in the ring.
Do you think it makes sense for her to have this spotlight that she has, on Total Divas, on TV? I mean, she seems to be on pretty much everything, yet when you really break it down, she's hardly on TV ever. So it's aside from Total Divas, so it's like this weird thing that you have a huge roster of divas, yet it's Eva Marie? Is it the red hair? Why do you think it's her?
I don't know. There's something about her that people either like her or really dislike her, but she gets a reaction, and she really is never really on Raw. But I feel like it could, at this current time, it could be better utilized if she was, it's easier to probably learn, teach her to talk better on the mic, on the road than it is to teach her wrestling. So just have her be like a manager or a valet or something. I feel like that is a good role for her if they want to put her on TV and not just damage the Divas match quality even more than it's already been damaged.
Do you see her in the company long term? As you mentioned, she is one of our highest rated, highest viewed YouTube videos, and that really goes a lot into saying about this, because a lot of times we'll post something about John Cena, it won't get the same result, which begs the question, what do you think is the long-term appeal for her? A lot of times, we had Mike Adamle. It's going to be an awkward example, but Mike Adamle was a very, very similar case in that here was a guy that really was not very good at almost anything he did in WWE, but that also became the character. For those that have not seen Mike Adamle, he was general manager, he replaced Jeff Hardy's name with Jeff Harvey. He purposely, I think, started botching a lot of stuff for the sake of that character appeal. Do you think that this will really take her somewhere? Or do you think it's going to be a thing where once Total Divas is over, so will Eva Marie?
I mean, that's a good question. We really don't know how long Total Divas is going to run. I'm pretty sure she's sort of viewed as one of the top, people on that show. It's like the Bellas and Eva Marie, I feel like, are the main characters on that show. So I think they view her as a very integral part of that show, and that they want to sort of have that translate on TV And it's like we said, it's amazing how much she gets talked about for how little she's actually on wrestling TV.
It's very interesting. So for those listening, I would actually love to know what you think about the situation. So send us a tweet over at ByteThatCast, or if you're listening to the podcast on the YouTube channel, just leave a comment on the section below. So that has been it for our Eva Marie portion. Now, there was something that when Raw began, for some reason I wanted to like either mute or change the channel. Was there anything, I mean, I know you brought up something in the reception, something about the WWE Network, which just entered their free trial, which you could get for an entire week, no credit card required, WWE Network, WWE Network, WWE Network. I'm not sure what it was about. What was the thing that was so annoying to me on Raw, WWE Network? Ryan?
I think it was the Sonic commercial.
Yes, man. Like, I could have sworn Damien Sandow was going to be Sting Dow or something like that. You know, here comes Adam Rose, WWE Network, and just like, you know, eats this hot. Have you ever had Sonic? Random question.
I have, and I was extremely disappointed. They opened up one in a town near Boston. Basically, it's the only one until you get to like New Jersey. There was just like lines and lines and lines for like 3 months. And then, so
Really?
I waited in one of those lines one time. I got a burger, and I was like, this is like terrible. This is just like Burger King or something. Like, why did I wait so long for this? And I haven't gone since.
No, you can't be a lemon about it, man. You have to be a rosebud.
Yes, the new advertisement
Spokesperson.
time. Yeah, spokesperson time all the time.
That's actually pretty awesome. But regarding the network thing, I couldn't help but actually feel bad after a point, like for like just Michael Cole and WWE as a whole, because holy crap. I mean, it wasn't just Michael Cole, it was not just JBL, it was the commercials, it was The Miz, it was John Cena, it was every single person just subliminally and just straight up saying like, you gotta get the network, and I almost felt like unsubscribing just to piss them off. Seriously.
You know, and there was a sign I saw that was Eat, Sleep, Network, Repeat, and I bet you that sign was planted in the crowd.
It had to be.
It really did. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that this Thursday they have their quarterly conference meeting where they're going to be revealing their network subscribers.
Ooh.
So this is a really good reason why this Monday in particular they push the network so hard. We may not see it as bad. We may not see it as bad next week because, you know, this week was a pretty special week where they really needed to push it. So don't get all worried that they're going to pull a tout on us quite yet.
But I am actually a little bit concerned because as a fan, I enjoy the network, even though I am using it way less. You know, we talked about this in the past couple of podcasts, but the fact that it was so blatant and the fact that they did that with the Sonic thing, like both in the same episode, was just a little too much for me. Now, do you think this type of strategy is effective, really? I mean, I know one thing that I was reading about the other day is about Blue's Clues, yes, and somehow I'm relating this to wrestling, was that Nickelodeon one time actually tested out running the same exact episode for an entire week. And a couple of parents called complaining, yet for some reason their ratings went up that week. But it was the same single episode every single day. So does that tactic sort of apply? Like, as a wrestling fan for you, like, did you feel compelled to subscribe to the network if you hypothetically weren't subscribed to it?
Well, it's hard to kind of stand back and look from that perspective. Like you said, the blatant advertisement, I felt like it took away from the quality of the show. It makes you feel, it makes the product seem phony, you know, it just...
Wrestling?
Well, because, yeah, I know, right? Crazy. But, I mean, you're just sitting there and you're like, this is an advertisement right now. You look at the Sonic thing, your enjoyment immediately kind of drops because you're like, yeah, I'm watching an advertisement right now. You know, I just went through all those commercials. Now I gotta watch a commercial on my show. That's what it felt like.
Yo, dog, I heard you like commercials.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to put a commercial in your commercial.
And something else that's sort of tied to this, you told me you were going to bring up an article, something about like royalty checks or budget cuts, which sort of tie into the network. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so A lot of people were concerned with the WWE network. A lot of the talent, the wrestlers were concerned how is this going to affect their pay-per-view royalty checks? Because normally those were scaled along with, the amount of pay-per-view buys that happen that month.
Yeah.
So now with a network subscription, how is that going to be month to month? But apparently these are slightly different royalty checks that I'm talking about here. We know what's going on with WWE's budget cuts because they're not quite where they want to be. So according to a report, people who were usually receiving their quarterly royalty checks of around $70,000 for, this is apparently for video games, their checks were instead around $11,000.
And to clarify, royalty checks means that is not their actual salary. They get that for, I guess, their extended contracts or something related to that product. So in this case, the game. So how much was that again?
From $70,000 to $11,000. So that's
a lot of dough, boy.
Yes. I'm not quite sure the percent on that. It's not getting 80% of your check-ish. That's crazy. I'm not a math major or anything.
And obviously, wrestlers, they get a pretty good salary, but obviously, they pay for their own travel. They're independent contractors. I should know about that. And it takes a lot of money away when you're an independent contractor because you have to pay for your travel, your food, pretty much anything unless you're a guy that's atop of the company like Randy Orton or something like that.
So another thing that was in this article actually was about the fact that they're kind of ramping up their fining system for fining people for, doing certain things, such as they are ramping up their dress code policy. And if talent is anywhere in public and they're not dressed professionally, it results in a fine.
Define professionally to you.
I would say probably business casual, maybe you're wearing you don't have to be suit and tie all the time. I would assume it would probably be, a button-down shirt and some slacks if you're a guy. You might be able to get away with jeans. I don't know the exact details of it. I'm assuming women might have a little bit more flexibility there. I don't know. It really seems like they are nickel and diming, like a mother
trucker. Once again, the whole independent contractor thing. Now, obviously, we are not superstars. I actually work as an independent contractor, so I know a little bit about that. And that does not make any sense. As an independent contractor, you're paid for your job. Now, obviously, the sad part is you can basically be fired at any point's notice. You don't even really have to be given much of an explanation other than good luck in your future endeavors. I'm not a wrestler, but legally, that's more or less the same situation. Now, the fact that even when you're not working, you have to worry about that. Now, I get that maybe if you're caught, drinking, noon or you're drunk or somewhere in the street, I can get that. You definitely don't want that image to be part of your company. But to say, you have to dress a certain way, what if Dean Ambrose wants to wear a Pokemon shirt with pink jeans? What? What's going on? He's a crazy character topic thing, that would actually make sense and it would be awesome, especially if it was Snorlax or Charizard or something. But the fact that they do that... You might see
Xavier Woods doing that, actually, but...
He actually does do that. So is he fined every single week? Define that, And obviously, we don't know how much of this is true and to what extent. A lot of times some laws, some rules are applied and they seem to be flexible, just in life. So maybe it's not as strict as we're making it out to be. But considering these people are taking pay cuts, considering all the sacrifices they make, could you tolerate all this stuff? I mean, you basically lose your personal life. You travel all day. You're basically killing your body, and now there's all this, and you're making less money? That's a little crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. I mean, these budget cuts things are just completely out of control. They're really scrambling. I mean, is the network really doing that bad? I mean, they know the numbers the whole way through, so... I'm guessing they must be pretty bad if they're relegating themselves to this level of nickel and diming their own talent, cutting budgets for the production crew, releasing so many people that they're really pushing it here. I don't think anyone expected this much backlash just for starting the network.
Man, a lot of people are asking, just make it go international. We pretend that or sometimes I think I forget, that the network is not available internationally. We have that benefit. Maybe it'll change, but hopefully by the time it's launched internationally, we still have a WWE. Now, something that we want to bring up in this week's Pick of the Week isn't actually here, but let's go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Pick of the Week. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with another installment of the Pick of the Week. Now, let's take a little break from, the professional wrestling and venture into fake professional wrestling. By that, I mean a movie about professional wrestling. The redundancy here is outstanding. We're talking about Ready to Rumble, Ryan. Do you love this movie? What's your take on Ready to Rumble, starring David Arquette, Bill Goldberg, Sting, frickin' Diamond Dallas Page, everybody? Everybody's in this movie.
Well, this is a great movie. I think if you are a wrestling fan, then you pretty much have to see this movie. I mean, it is, it came out, do you know when it came out?
Yeah, it actually came out 14 years ago, back in 2000.
Well, I feel old now. But anyway, this is, it's a great comedy movie. Someone who isn't a wrestling fan isn't going to appreciate it quite as much, but there's still something, to like here for everybody. But, it is just about, God, I forget their names, but it's David Arquette and
Jimmy King!
Yes. And basically, the wrestler Jimmy King gets to a situation where the company WCW hates him and they want to get rid of him. So they basically pull a screw job on him, and his two biggest fans help him get back into the company and reclaim his spot. Shortly
after, WCW died.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
No, it's interesting because this movie definitely leaked into real life. A lot of people may not know this, but David Arquette actually became WCW champion. Once again, WCW went out of business. The Triple Cage match that is at the end of this movie actually happened in WCW, featuring Jeff Jarrett, Mike Awesome, a large array of talent. Now, for the final thing is, you can't take this movie seriously. Have an open mind. I gotta say one more time, absolutely ridiculous, it's stupid, and that is why it is amazing, and I love it. Oh, and it's not even out on Blu-ray yet, but, DVD or something. Let us know if you like it. So for better or worse, Ready to Rumble is certainly an unforgettable movie. And, I mean, it's a big part of wrestling history. It's a part where, mainstream got involved. We got an actor to become a champion, and an actor that respected professional wrestling and actually didn't want to become a champion. So there's a big, just sort of backstory to all this. Let us know if you like the movie. Send us a tweet at Byte That Cast. We're also on Facebook by searching the very same thing. Remember to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Byte That Cast, where we are slowly restructuring ourselves as we are just 3 episodes away from hitting episode 50, which will include a completely redesigned ByteThat.com featuring every single piece of content. Remember, we have the Raw reception available every Monday after Raw, where either Ryan or myself, we talk about the immediate reaction to what occurred on Monday Night Raw. The podcast is available every single Tuesday night on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. We have this Thursday, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 things I need to see in WWE 2K15. Also talking a little bit about Sting, who just got confirmed to be in the game. And every Saturday, you can check out the weekly filler, which is Ryan's sexy mug is on your screen, and he fills you in. What happened this week? He'll tell you, because he's Ryan frickin' McNulty, and he's a sexy beast. Hit him up on, are you on MySpace or something? Whatever you're at, just hit him up too. So, speaking of one of those many wrestlers that I mentioned in the past 10 minutes, Sting. Holy crap. I need to say, I think I'm a big hypocrite. Because after WrestleMania, I was like, you know what? Undertaker lost. There's nothing that the WWE can do to really excite me about Sting coming back. Then that trailer came up and, dude, I got goosebumps. I was going crazy. I was like, oh, man, I am such a hypocrite. How do you feel about that reveal trailer for Sting being in WWE 2K15 as a pre-order character?
Despite getting sort of spoilers about the casting call of an orchestra and all that, actually seeing it just got me so pumped up for Sting. Even if it is just a video game. I mean, that video, I've already watched it probably 5 or 6 times because it's so awesome. It just, I don't know, the way it's done, it's just so cool, and it really makes me hope that they do something with Sting. I mean, as we've seen a trend with these 2K games, I mean, Brock Lesnar was in a game before he showed up. I think 12, WWE 12 maybe. He was in that game before he showed up. Warrior was in 13 before he got his Hall of Fame induction and his Raw appearance. And then, of course, we have Sting in 2K15, so we might, see an appearance from him too.
No, and I'm really looking forward to playing him, and I'm looking forward to getting a very high-quality version of the Crow theme, because that is one of my favorite wrestling themes of all time, and how awesome was that orchestrated version? It definitely added so much, and just, I loved how simple it was. It didn't try to do too much. It was just like, you know what, Sting's here, and we're also going to get two versions, as you mentioned, in the reception, so maybe this will be more than just a WWE game. Only time would tell. Something else that only time will tell, and it's certainly, I guess, bittersweet, because I would love to see this guy back, but knowing the physical shape that he is in, Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, his contract situation. Ryan, what's going on? Fill us in.
He said that he turned down TNA's latest contract offer, but is still open to one more contract in his wrestling career. So basically the table is open for WWE to lay down a contract, possibly, if they're interested, and we might see one final run of Kurt Angle in WWE.
Knowing what you know about Kurt, I mean, even Gail Kim was talking, I think it was in a Peter Rosenberg video, which we actually plugged last week. Even she was talking about the fact that the man can barely walk backstage. Sometimes he'd be in a wheelchair. It's so bittersweet, because I think Kurt Angle has had such an amazing career, maybe one of the best WWE careers of all time, considering how short amount of time he was in there. He spent longer in TNA than the WWE, but yet he was the serious guy. He was able to pull off comedy, matches with Shane McMahon. I mean, you gave the guy a piece of paper and he would give you a 5-star match. Is that in the days past? Can that happen again?
Well, obviously, I don't think he can go like he used to, but we'll see. I mean, if doctors clear him, I mean, because I know he has to take a physical and everything before he'd be able to compete. But I mean, if WWE doctors are willing to clear him and he's good to go, I think it is 100% worth seeing one final run. Obviously, no one's going to be able to go like they did 10 years ago, but I still think there's some value in that. I really think he deserves one last run in WWE, and that's how he should finish out his career.
No, and maybe a good thing that could play off is, the Undertaker's streak is officially over, beaten by Brock Lesnar. So maybe if they sort of hold him back, give him some time to recover, we could actually see maybe just like that one match. Like he comes back, but he comes back for just that one match, looking for that one opponent just to push somebody over, giving him on-screen time. Do you think that would be a pretty good idea?
Absolutely. I mean, maybe give him a match with Daniel Bryan. I mean, that might be...
Ooh, that would be something.
I think that's the perfect guy for, Kurt Angle to put over. I mean, they could have a really kind of mat ground kind of match and then turn it into something epic. But, I mean, I think that's sort of the guy whose style might mirror the most.
What do you think about a guy like Roman Reigns, who, I mean, WWE is pretty much... definitely pushing him way harder than they expected because of the whole Daniel Bryan situation. So could you see maybe Kurt take on a guy that, he's still getting over with the crowd by himself? I mean, doing a pretty good job, but would that be a pretty good match?
I feel like that would be, if Kurt's going to get one match, I don't think Roman Reigns is the right guy. I think you want a guy who can really deliver because... so I feel like Daniel Bryan is a good choice because, you get the two technicians in the ring. Someone who's, a technician or someone, I can't even, he fought John Cena, but I don't know if that's the right choice. Or maybe even one last go with Brock Lesnar if Brock doesn't kill him.
Man, I think if we want Kurt to be alive for a couple more years, people need to be away from Brock Lesnar. CM Punk's gone a little bit shortly after his thing with Brock. It's like, Brock's a stiff guy. He's definitely a great worker. I mean, his matches are pretty outstanding. But, yeah, I think let's agree as wrestling fans, we like Kurt Angle nice and alive, but... going on to Roman Reigns, the reason that I brought him up with the whole Kurt Angle thing is because it seems like they're really, really shoving him down our throats too. Now, I'm not going to become the wrestling hater here. I'm not here to really bash Roman Reigns. I think he's doing a pretty good job. You know, the people are reacting to him. He's fist bumping without even looking, so the man is amazing. But is it a little too much? I think we as wrestling fans either sometimes complain too much about them taking time. Here's the complete different opposite scenario of them just being like, you know what? If people like him, we'll just give it to him. But are they doing it the right way?
I think for right now it's okay. It may seem like it's a little too forced, but I think the reason they're doing this is because it's pretty clearly obvious. He's got two, he had a title match at Money in the Bank. He's got a title match at Battleground. He basically has zero chance of winning. So,
yeah.
They got to make him look good because he can't look weak coming out of these pay-per-views, especially when he's losing 2 in a row. So that's probably why they have to push him so hard right now, because they really, they don't want to make their future prospect top babyface look too weak.
How close do you think he'll actually be to winning the Fatal 4-Way match? Now, we'll be talking about the predictions in a couple of minutes, but since we're on the subject about Reigns, do you think that they're really just going to always play like he is just a couple of seconds away and then just pull him back, or do you think they're going to savor that moment for another day?
I don't think it'll be any more than anybody else. In matches like that, there's always that time where pretty much every guy gets their moment where you think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to make it like, oh, he was just screwed out of it. There might just be some other factor that pulls him out of the match or whatever. I don't think it's going to be quite like he just barely had it.
And while we're on the subject about Battlegrounds, I mean, it's this Sunday. It's been 3 weeks since the last pay-per-view, but I think it feels like it's been like 2 weeks, It feels like we should still be building up towards the pay-per-view, but it's this Sunday. I mean, how shocked were you when you actually found out that, obviously we know beforehand, but it's just some of those things where you sort of forget until they really repeat it to you?
Yeah, I was caught off guard. I was looking at the calendar, maybe Monday morning thinking, oh, it's not this weekend. It's probably next weekend or the weekend after, right? And then sure enough, when I turn on Raw and realize it was this Monday, I was like, oh, wow. What do they got, like 3 matches on the card? But they actually developed up quite a few matches in a 3-week span.
Yeah, it's a pretty stacked card. So what say we really just sort of give our predictions, sir? We played a prediction game here.
Yes, let's jump right into it.
Let's get into it. So the first match, it's for America. This feud is definitely kicking up steam. We got Jack Swagger taking on
the super athlete.
I love that. Who's going to win?
This is a tricky one. I feel like Rusev can't lose here because they really want to. These are the downside of these undefeated invincible guy things, because once they lose a lot of steam. So I feel like they still can't have Rusev lose yet. It's still too early. Even if it seems like this whole Real American thing, like this is the perfect opponent for him. This is the perfect time for, America to win. But I think it's still way too soon. It's, Rusev, they want to keep him looking invincible. So I say he still wins here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you 500%. We got SummerSlam. SummerSlam is known for being not the Great American Bash, but being like the next, sort of American pay-per-view, biggest party of the summer, that type of thing. So I think that's the best scenario of maybe, putting Jack Swagger over Rusev. So he's got to come out looking strong, but I think it's going to be one of the situations where, there's going to be a lot of false finishes, but Rusev is just going to get it, and then maybe we'll get some sort of like specialty flag match or something like that, like flag on a pole or something to really close out SummerSlam. So we're both going with Alexander Rusev. Now we got the Battleground Battle Royal for the vacated Intercontinental Championship, previously held by Bad News Barrett, who will apparently be the one to give the title to the winner of the match. That's going to be a little bit bittersweet. We can also probably expect some bad news from that. Now, I'm going to ask first, actually. Do you think that whoever wins is going to get the bullhammer?
No. Because I don't think he's going to be doing anything too physical. I don't know which shoulder he hurt. I don't know if it's the one where he has to do the bullhammer with.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he avoids any type of physical activity while he's recovering. But It is kind of like, it kind of sucks to have to hand over the title, huh? I mean, isn't it like they're bringing him in to give up his championship? I don't know if that's insulting or not. Do you have all the participants, or are we just going to pick who we win here?
There are a ton. So we have one half, Los Matadores, there's The Miz, there's Xavier Woods, there's R-Truth, Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler, Rob Van Dam, Alberto Del Rio. There's a large pool of talent really being in there. Now, I'm actually just going to go ahead first and just say that the only real man that I can see winning is The Miz. Given the whole Hollywood Miz character, all the progression, he is the only guy that I can definitely see benefiting from that. You know, he's got the moneymaker and he's got the money. You know, and by money I mean the gold. So is there any other guy that you would see as a potential winner?
I think besides The Miz, Bo Dallas also has a decent shot here. I could see him sort of fluke winning it. You know, maybe he's in the corner and then, you know, two people eliminate each other or something like that, and all of a sudden Bo Dallas just wins. If he does, like I said, it'll be some sort of like cheap way that, you know, he's gonna celebrate all crazy, like he just accomplished so much when he really barely did anything.
Ooh, that actually gives me a pretty good idea for a podcast topic. Sort of like the Miz versus Bo Dallas type feud. That would be something between those two characters, huh?
That would be some strange promos, but I would definitely look forward to that.
I would believe in that feud, sir. Now, another feud portrays to former tag team partners in Cameron and Naomi, the Funkadactyls. I believe their match is actually going to be a pre-show match, saving the other Divas match for the show. So, who do you think is going to come out the winner?
Was Naomi even on TV this week?
No, sir.
I felt like they did absolutely nothing to really facilitate this feud. They just had Cameron come out tagging with Alicia Fox. I don't know who's gonna win this. I'm just gonna go with Naomi because, you know, she probably deserves the win more here, but it was kind of a shame to just not have her on TV at all.
I'm actually gonna go and pick Cameron. I think that given the fact that she's gotten a little bit more exposure, I think they could do with a bigger heel diva, a hateable diva. Now, you got Alicia Fox, so I think that teaming her up with Cameron now definitely benefits both. So it's sad. I think that this is going to leave Naomi in the dust, you know, given the fact that we already have, you know, AJ Lee, Paige, Cameron,
Layla, and Summer Rae.
Exactly. A lot of stuff is happening, and she is extremely athletic. She is the one that should win, but at least my pick is going to go to Cameron.
Can I just quickly say, though, I mean, look how many diva storylines are going on right now, huh?
I know.
I mean, we've got the whole Cameron-Naomi thing, we've got the Layla, Summer Rae thing, the Paige and AJ thing, and then finally you got Nikki and Stephanie McMahon, so there's a lot of that going on.
Now, the next match that's going to be hopefully taking place is Dean Ambrose taking on Seth Rollins. I think that this match has an unbelievable amount of potential, just not at this pay-per-view. But if it does take place, who's going to win?
This is a tough one here. You know, the more I think about it, the more I think that Ambrose pretty much has to win here. Rollins got that big Money in the Bank win, so I think Ambrose needs a little something to go off of here. But then at the same time, it's really all about Ambrose getting his revenge. So do you really want to kill that off right away? But either way, I still think Ambrose wins.
If the match does actually take place, I'm actually going to go with Rollins. I think that in any other scenario, like when Damien Sandow was Money in the Bank winner, they could afford all the losses. But because he's so tied into Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, you know, this power group, I think that we're really going to see just Rollins continue to win, probably by some kind of not interference, but distraction. So like, you know, Kane comes out or something. I think that this alliance that he's got going on with Randy and Kane is definitely going to play a factor. Now, if it doesn't take place, I'm actually going to be a little bit happy because then, you know, it's off to SummerSlam, sir. Now for the Divas Championship, we have the BFFs, we have these very interesting and joyful. I'm really enjoying this feud right now between Paige and the current reigning and defending Divas Champion, AJ Lee. Who's your pick?
I am definitely picking AJ here, although I think this feud is definitely destined to continue on. They're gonna still play that friendly, you know, good sportsmanship gimmick here where they'll probably shake hands before the match and all that and be friends. But then I think when AJ gets the win here, we're going to see some resentment, just slightly resentment from Paige, which will kind of eventually lead to their big kind of blowout.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think AJ Lee is going to come out the winner. And I hope to actually give this match a lot of time because of the whole situation they're doing right now. They have the potential to sort of, like you mentioned, they start off with the handshake, but progressively as the pinfalls get nearer and closer, they'll start to get more pissed off, but then try to maybe hide it until maybe Paige just sort of gets completely pissed off and it actually cost her the win. So maybe that's where we get to really see the next face of Paige leading into whatever, be it at SummerSlam, whatever match goes after. I think we're in for a very, very good treat. Moving on to the Tag Team Championships. Ooh!
So
Crazy is going to be defending their Tag Team Championships, and that was pathetic, against the Wyatt family of Luke
There's
Harper.
a distinct crowd. I don't know.
Yeah, we need more people in here now. Keith, where are you at? We got the Wyatt family. Hopefully, they want to become the tag team champions. Hopefully. What am I talking about? I'm crazy now. Who's going to come out the winner here between the two tag teams?
I really think the Wyatt family should win here because they lost last month, and if they're getting another title shot, they got to win it. Even if they want to, trade the titles back and forth between these guys, I think, that's not that big of a deal. So I think it's time that you give the Wyatt family the tag team championships.
Yeah, I agree. 598.2%. I think that the Wyatt family is finally going to become tag team champions. As I've mentioned previously, I'm super happy at the fact that even though they're the Wyatt family, they're also, a tag team. They have a tag team finisher now, which is like that double rock bottom bookend type move, which I'm super, super cool with. So maybe the Usos will now either chase after the championships, or who knows, maybe somebody else is going to get called up or something. Ascension Wyatt family, that'd be pretty awesome, at least for me. So we both agreed the Wyatt family. Now, the Pappy, Bo Dallas's undiscovered brother, the son of IRS. Well, I'm getting super smarky here. Sorry, people. He's going to be taking on the Ayatollah of Rock and Roll, Y2J Chris Jericho. Weird accent. I don't know why it's happening right now. But they're going to be facing each other. Who's going to win?
I've been thinking about this one for a while, and I feel like there's upsides and downsides to both. There's no real clear choice to go with, but I'm going to go with the safe bet in the trend that Jericho pretty much always loses at pay-per-views. So I'm going to pick Bray Wyatt here.
Man, this is a tough choice for me, because I really enjoyed Bray Wyatt's character. I think that, I've said it 80 times, I'll say it 81. The man has reinvented himself completely. But when you deal with Jericho, it's like he puts you over. Jericho's done such an amazing job of establishing Bray Wyatt as a threat. But to just lose to him, it's like, what happens after, But you got to keep in mind, Jericho's not going to be a full-time superstar. So I'm actually going to go with Bray Wyatt on this too, simply because I just don't know how long this is going to go, or maybe Jericho comes very close to winning, but just, he gets Sister Abigail or something like that. However, I think that this has potential to be the match of the night. Would you disagree with that?
No, I wouldn't, absolutely. I think this has potential to be a match tonight as well as Ambrose and Rollins if that happens.
Definitely, which takes us to our main event match. So we have Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, John Cena, goes to defend against Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Kane. Now, Ryan, I don't know if you knew this, but apparently, Fatal 4-Way match, John Cena doesn't have to get pinned to lose the championship.
Really?
It's crazy, right? Yeah, much like the WWE Network, it's things that you just don't know are there until they tell us 80 times during a show. Who's going to walk out champion?
Cena wins. Lol.
Yeah, is there anything else we can really say about this match? Really?
Oh, Kane's going to win, dude. Kane is going to win. This is his time. He's been sitting on the back burner, if you catch my drift. And now he's finally going to step up. He's going to win. He's going to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and he's going to have a reign for 435 days. Mark my words.
Ryan McNulty, Attack of the Landfish approved. You know it's guaranteed to happen at WWE Battleground. But in all seriousness, like, are you excited for this match? You know, we can talk about the match quality and all that, but as a whole, like, how are you feeling? You feeling okay?
Well, it's
you want to cry a little bit?
This is something we've seen time and time again with John Cena, is you get in these pay-per-view matches, you absolutely think there is no chance that anyone else is walking out of that, you know, pay-per-view with the championship. And that's the same feeling we're getting here. Although when the match actually happens, sometimes the matches can be so good that for a second you believe that maybe somebody else will win. I don't know if that's going to happen.
If Santino can make us a believer that he was about to become champion, I think that, you know, maybe Roman Reigns can definitely give us a tease. However, I think that this pay-per-view has a pretty good potential to have great matches. I think that, you know, between, you know, the Battle Royals are always entertaining just to see, you know, what crazy spots they do, you know, tease future rivalries. We have the advancement of Swagger and Rusev. A lot of Diva stuff. Once again, I applaud the WWE for giving the Divas a spotlight. I think that, let's be honest here, the Diva segments for the most part were a urine break, a bathroom break, you know, for a lot of people in the arena, in TV, and now they are a main staple of the show, you know, especially having Paige and all that.
I wonder if their technique was, if they put enough Diva segments in the show, you can only take so many piss breaks. So you're going to have to stay for one of them.
Wow. Okay, wow. Here I thought you were going to say something else, like
something nice.
Yeah.
I already said it's a good thing. It was just a joke. I appreciate that they're giving more time to the Divas because all of their characters needed development, so it's good. It's just a joke.
It's good. It's pretty
Relax.
good.
It's good. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, you better be happy that the Divas are getting
Don't
a lot
tell
of
me how to
spotlight.
feel.
You will feel how I make you feel, and you will watch the WWE Network, which is available on WWE.com. Remember, WWE Network, WWE Network. Just a quick comment before I forget, which, by the way, Battleground, you know, you looking forward to it? Yes or no?
Yeah,
as a whole.
Sure. I already paid for it.
The one thing that I quickly want to bring up before we close out the show, the CM Punk special on the WWE Network. You know, we talk about the CM Punk chance dying off. Now, I wanted to avoid bringing this up, but I mean, it happened on Raw. How can you not? You know, you almost can't really complain about the CM Punk chance, considering they do stuff like this.
Well, this is the first time they've really done anything. I mean, this is the first time you can say, oh, now they're asking for it. So I don't know if they're just giving in and they decided to no longer ignore him. Eventually the time's going to come where they just have to recognize his career. But maybe it's a little too soon if they want those chants to die off, that they shouldn't be running that ad, you know, all over TV.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't watched Best in the World, it's actually a pretty great documentary, which you can check out. And no, actually, wait, I think it's one of those things where it was a special. I'm not sure if
I think it's all
it was
week.
A one-time.
It might be all week.
But yeah, if you haven't checked out the CM Punk documentary, it's on the network or get the Blu-ray. It's pretty awesome. You know, we love you, man, and realistically, do whatever it is you need to do. Just if you do a podcast, please have it be with a smile. It doesn't need to be so bitter.
And speaking of podcasts, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you actually just listened to one, and we want to thank you for listening to Byte That. But before you go, I got a few things I want to share with you. As always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast, where we got the Raw reception going on after Raw every single Monday. I got the weekly filler going on Saturdays, where I share the latest headlines in wrestling and my take on them. As well, we got this Thursday, Juan's 2K15 wish list. That video is going up Thursday, as I said, where he's going to talk about a few things that he wants to see in the next WWE video game. As always, follow us on Twitter @ByteThatCast and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. So once again, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.